preparing. We're actually live streaming. There we are. Okay.
We are live.
We are about to get started.
Gidget's here. Okay.
Preparing. We're actually live streaming.
Okay.
There we are.
Okay, that's quiet. Hide that. And tell me when you're ready to turn on record.
Bring this up. This.
And the hearts next door finally got quiet.
I know. Miracles abound. There we go.
I was drinking into the mic.
Oh, nice. People love that. It's juicy. There it's posting. I'll switch here.
Oh man, this is good. Surf's up.
Now I go here. Surf is up. Now I share this. And away we go. All right.
Okay, tell me when you're ready.
I am ready.
Okay, I'm going to hit record. Welcome to The Funniest Thing.
Yep.
Where each week we share stories about how stepping out boldly always leads to better than expected outcomes.
That's right.
I'm Darrell.
I'm Ed.
And we're broadcasting live from Middle School Studios in beautiful downtown Culver City, the heart of Screenland. Oh, I'm excited for today, Ed.
What are we going to offer today?
Well, we have someone who actually lives here in beautiful downtown Culver City, the heart of Screenland, and is also a fan of our show, and we're a fan of her, and that's my neighbor and magician and artist, Jillian, I believe it's Gotlib. I've never called her by her last name. We'll find out later.
Yeah. Well, today we're going to talk about immunity from trouble.
That's the best immunity to have.
Oh, man, and this stuff really works. It's amazing. Fear condemns, love forgives. Absolute and continuous forgiveness is immunity from trouble. So true. Forgiveness allows God to flow into all our affairs. If you extend a loving thought loyally to every person, while systematically dismissing thoughts of self-pity, selfishness, resentment, and condemnation, then not only will you make your own demonstration in the quickest possible time, but you will be in a very positive sense, a healing and illumining influence on all around you. On this episode, Darrell and Ed highlight the fact that forgiveness accentuates the positive. And during the second segment, the magical Jillian Gotlib inspires us with today's reading, Say Yes.
Ah, you know what? I have mail, and I got to go get it. Do you have something to share with the guests, like that reading? Will I go?
Oh, you have good mail?
I have great mail. Let me go get it.
All right. Well, I want to give a shout out to Darrell's new podcast. If you haven't listened to the new episode, or if you haven't been following, Darrell has a podcast called The Intuitive Method with Darrell Fazzaro. You can look it up on any podcast app, and he talks about living intuitively. It's actually 4 parts based on the classes he taught. It's the audio from the classes that he taught on the intuitive method, which is the way Darrell makes art. And it is really, really helpful if you want to live and stay in an inspired life and be true to who you really are. And I'll read this quick reading before you read that mail. Here's a great reading from Foster McClellan, because a lot of what the intuitive method is, and intuition in general, in reality, is about how do you get to know the real you that you always know is there, but somehow our rational mind, derails us or whatever. And sometimes it's hard to figure out. Like, it's so unsatisfying to not be our true self. But that's why we practice these things. That's what this journey is all about.
Well, you know what? There's, and it's funny that you brought up the intuitive method, because in the last episode, I talk about conscience.
Yeah. I was
is
just listening.
Latin for with knowing.
Yes, with knowing.
And it means knowing that voice within. And a lot of people, including myself, I didn't know what intuition was or the God in me. But a lot of us do know it because we refer to it as, I had a feeling I shouldn't have done that.
Right.
I had a feeling I should have went left on that street.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking about this. Most of my life, I thought my conscience was a voice of a coward. Like I thought I got to override that to do the more willful thing.
Right.
You know, but if I had listened to it when it said, no, you don't need to go and tell that person off.
Right.
Or you don't need to go fight that battle, or you don't need to whatever these things that I thought I felt compelled to do, the loving voice was saying, no, let it go. But I thought that was the voice of the coward, that I should push through and prove myself, or whatever it was. It was a willful thing that my conscience was always trying to tell me, that's not such a good idea, Davy. Remember that little dog, that Davy and Goliath?
Yeah, well, I used to use that voice all the time with my friends.
And that dog.
Gee, Davy.
Because the dog was the voice of his conscience when you would listen to, remember the Bad Kids?
Oh, yeah, because I remember, gee, Davy, I don't think it's smart to go play in that construction site. And then Davy ended up getting his ankle tweaked or something.
But see, that's the perfect example that I'm now committed to just surrendering to.
Yeah.
You know, because like we used to.
And it is a practice. You have to practice because.
It's all the time.
Because the flip side is, too, you could mistake your conscience for the rational mind that's telling you, oh, you don't need to do those things you love.
Oh, yeah,
like you could hear other people's voices telling you, that's selfish to step out boldly and follow your intuition and follow your joy. So, but that's why conscience, meaning with knowing, which is with science, is what you explained in the podcast, which I just listened to. With science, with knowing. So science is knowing, but knowing is the key. Knowing is a loving feeling that brings peace and self-assuredness and also opens doors that wouldn't open normally.
Yeah, all the time.
But I cut you off. Were you going to say something else?
No, I'm agreeing with you.
Okay,
I'm excited.
Good. Yeah, because I was just saying, so the podcast is called Draw Intuitively, or actually it's called The Intuitive Method. This week that was the title. And if you look up The Intuitive Method where you find podcasts, you'll find the podcast. Because what I'm saying, the difference between, I think, our show and the stuff that we listen to and a lot of other type shows that are about like self-help or even spiritual development is that we're not telling you that we've come up with new smart ideas you've never heard before. We're telling you this, you already know this stuff. We already know stuff. But we still need constant reminders and constant practice to stay in the flow. And what it really is, what Emma Curtis Hopkins said, God is good and there's only God, so there is only good. Only good is reality. But we need to practice, and our intuition is how we find our way back there to the reality that's already here. And I just love this Foster McClellan reading. It went well with your class from this week. And she says, are you prepared for company today? Are you prepared to have company today? Are you fixed up to receive the most important guest you could ever entertain? This guest is the real you. And if you are not feeling neat and tidy, up for it, excited about it all, even thrilled, you are not prepared. You may not even answer the bell and let the real you in. And the bell is intuition.
Yes, the bell is intuition.
You see, the life that we live is really the mirror of ourself. Once we can accept this, then we are in the driver's seat. The life that we live is really the mirror of ourself, the sum of our thinking, the reflection of what we are inside, what we are really entertaining beneath the surface of our being, which is often called the subconscious mind, the beliefs that are deeper and they're just running, even when we don't realize it. Change the pattern of your thinking, and you will find that your life will change accordingly. Let's really fix up today and entertain our royal guest, our real self, royally. Let's give thanks for another opportunity to entertain our important guest today. And when I just read that, where he says,
Yes.
last thing is changing the pattern of your thinking.
Yes.
It's really important to tune in, read these books, these teachers, because it's not what you think. It's like, because our thinking, that, like they say, is like trying to locate our thinking is like, I've heard this said, it's like trying to get a fish to recognize water. We're in it, so it can be tricky. It has to be approached lightheartedly and like a game, because the thinking that we're changing is the thinking that is rejecting our intuition in favor of fear-based thinking that is masquerading itself as like the right thing to do,
Yes.
the prudent thing to do, or many other things. So the thinking that we change is really to become receptive, so that our natural intuitive thinking that's always there below the surface, we hear it and we trust it and we live by it.
And that's why today's show is immunity from trouble, is forgiveness, because our circumstances are always a reflection
Yes.
of our thinking. So the best thing I could do is, in the moment when I feel frustrated, angry, or self-pity, to immediately go to switch, like do what I can to get out of that thinking. A lot of the time I can catch it and go, no, no, no. I'll just say no. Like I'm telling myself, no, Darrell, you're not, stop it.
Right.
Stop it. And that alone stops it. But then I have to go now and replace it with what I really would like. And forgiveness is continuous. I mean, we confront it in driving and frustrated driving with other drivers.
Yes.
When we're hungry, we're
Yes.
very irritable. So I got to know I'm hungry right now. So all this irritation is not based on anything real. And I know I'll remind myself, we do it all the time. And once I eat, all this is going to go away.
Yeah.
Because this is just momentarily caused by being hungry and my blood sugar. So now my thinking is getting off. And if I don't remind myself that that's all this is, well, then I start seeing it in my reality as, these drivers,
Yeah.
they're getting in the way. Well, Ed and I have gone to, and I'm not just saying once, I'm talking about maybe 900 times we've gone to restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
And we were super hungry. We were excited. And we're in line. We're like, oh boy, this line is hell. And we're like looking around and nothing. But we keep reminding ourselves, now, once we eat, and this has happened every time, the place is noisy, chaotic, the line's not moving. But then as soon as we eat, all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute, we're the only
That's
ones
incredible.
in the restaurant? It's
Yep.
like everyone leaves. The whole place is calm.
It's gotten to the point like where usually we're both hungry, but if one of us is like starting to go off the rails, the other one will say, don't worry, this is all going to disappear.
Yes.
Just eat. Once we eat, this
It's
will all
all
be
gonna
gone. And I want to just tell people, like, if you're into reading the Bible and you read the word vigilant,
Oh, yes.
which means to be awake to, then you're what Darrell just described, because that's really the whole thing. Buying into the fact that it's worth staying awake to what our thoughts and feelings are doing, and putting in the effort required to redirect or eat or slow down instead of going with this like impulsive fear or anger or judgment that starts taking over. It's worth being awake to it because this stuff works.
Yeah, well, we might as well thank our Patreon people, because thanks.
yeah.
I mean, if you really are benefiting from the show, you could do a number of things. You could just hit the subscribe button and more people will discover it.
Right.
You could share the links with your friends, or you can contribute to the show through Patreon, which is, what is it, Patreon /
Yeah, it's Patreon, Patreon /funniest thing. And it's also, the link is in the YouTube video and anywhere you listen to podcasts under the description for joining the prosperous Patreon community. Because on top of contributing to a commercial-free show, you also can attend a Tuesday Zoom that we
Yes.
do where we just meet again and talk about what we're living through the week, and we get to share, and you can interact with Darrell and Ed and ask questions or share your own stories, which then inspires Darrell and Ed, inspires
Yeah.
everyone else that attends. You can watch those recordings later. So, yeah.
And you get to see that we're all just in this together. And if you want to mail us letters, I mean, you could email us easily from our website at darrellanded.com, or you could send us goodies in the mail at Funniest Thing, P.O. Box 1312, Culver City, California 90232.
We do have a good Kirky, but it's in my car. Kirk Chelson, thank you for the postcard. But we have another bit of mail here.
We got a great email last week.
Oh, yeah, then we'll do that.
From Christine Valentine.
Oh, my God.
Valentine. Or wait, is it Valentin or Valentine?
I don't know,
Valentine,
because
because it doesn't have the E at the
Yeah.
end. I'm gonna have to get the right pronunciation from her.
Glasses. Okay.
But she's a longtime listener, and for some, so I had been thinking about her for some reason. So I just sent her hey, we're just thinking about you. Hope you're doing great. You know, just a little touch base.
This is crazy because I think one of the days, like, you were tired or something was going on. You didn't even realize she was at the last Patreon.
Isn't that crazy?
And she had an amazing story to tell.
Oh man.
Yeah. Yeah, because she's someone, Christina stepped out boldly with her practice as she works with young people in forget the exact, some sort of therapy.
Right. I know
Right.
she's a therapist.
And she
yes.
stepped out boldly and
got her own.
and it ended up being like 2 offices instead of 1.
Yeah.
And see, miracle after miracle. And this is one of the things that benefits not just from our Tuesday Patreon Zoom or listening to the show, but it happened to be, we were talking about it. So, because anytime we step out boldly, the old aliens of old, like Florence Scovel Shinn talks about, our old thinking is going to try to reassert itself. So meeting with people and talking about it, so it makes it easier to let it go and keep moving. And she did. And the last time she was on the Patreon, she was from her new office, which is beautiful, and she looks amazing. Like, you can see the light shining through in a new way. So she wrote an email.
An amazing email. So we're going to read it to you.
Yeah, if you go to darrellanded.com, you can hit us up at the contact form, or darrellanded@gmail.com if you want to email us. Thanks for reaching out. I was just listening to your podcast episode with Krista yesterday, and the episode entitled "You Have the Divine Right of Way" this morning. I have you and Ed in my thoughts and missed attending the Tuesday class. I do have a message for you, which I didn't get to send in a card yet. Keep on doing what you both are doing with the podcast and spreading joy to others. I know it may seem like crickets or radio silence if you don't see or hear from people, but know that I am constantly inspired by you both. Fun fact, I now have my 8-year-old daughter doing the calendar activity, the backwards calendaring, right? That you taught in your workshop, whereby we jot down a greater than expected outcome from the day before. She enjoys it, and it brings us a moment of pause and happiness every moment before she goes to school. That's amazing. You guys are like my angels, and I appreciate all you do, especially the behind-the-scenes work. Be well, and I hope to see and speak to you both soon. That's
Isn't that
awesome.
the best? Do you know how much do you know how much of a benefit that is
And if you're
to
listening,
an 8-year-old?
totally.
I mean, if someone
I do
told
actually, because
me-
I work with these kids. It's
Yeah, if someone said, Darrell, what wonderful thing happened today.
Yeah.
It would change my whole brain.
It's literally the difference between heaven and hell, especially when you're young, because you may not know it's hell to know because you're connected to your joy when you're young, even more like naturally. But then to have the thought, because remember Alan Cohen talked about hell, the word held in.
That's where hell comes from. It
in
was
is
about being
an animal that's being fenced in.
It was called a held.
So that literally is hell for anyone who thinks they can't be themselves. That is hell. I'm not sure what I was just going to say, but that's fine.
That for kids to learn that they can
Yeah.
focus on because once our brain, like that, her daughter's brain now is building a healthy neural pathway at an early age.
Yeah.
That is going to be a deep groove geared to always look for what wonderful thing unexpectedly occurred in my life.
Yeah.
So by the time she gets, as she grows, it's only going to increase and increase and increase.
Yes.
Rather
Yes.
than, I had to learn to look for the good after age 23. I didn't know that's the most important exercise I could have
Yes.
learned in school.
Yes.
Would have been if a teacher had taught me that.
Totally. It means everything. I've been seeing it more and more, the importance of the part of what I do as an educator, which is to convince people that when these kids, when they come to school, they can be successful. Because imagine anytime you go into a situation where you don't even think you can be successful, there's no way you're going to get your maximum output. Changing that little thing to get people to come in and go, wow, I belong here and I can be successful. And that's what we are telling. So Darrell and I were speaking earlier. First of all, before I say this, let's just thank Chief Engineer Jeff Comfort.
Yes.
He's in Kansas City, Kansas. If you're listening on the audio app, if you love the show, you love Jeff Comfort.
Yes.
He puts in all the sound effects and the music and everything. And each week,
he takes us
right into the comfort zone. All right, I want to lead us into the reading that you have there. But so earlier we were saying the thing about fear, self-protection, self-pity, condemnation, self-righteousness, these are all things that stem from feeling held in. Basically,
Yes.
like believing we can't be ourselves. And I was saying, it's a waste. I had this realization in this one moment, last night actually, all of that, because I was just getting over something like a little bug that got from my wife last week, and I was right on that edge where I was like almost 100% better, but my mind was tired and it was telling me, what I realized was the thinking I was doing was just garbage. It was all about like self-protection. It was all about me. And I wasn't seeing and appreciating my wife who was sitting across from me. It wasn't a heavy thought. It was just a light thought. I was just like, I don't like any of the thing I'm thinking. So I sat and I meditated and when I'm totally overwhelmed with thought, I just relax and breathe. That's the universe that's the message I get from my intuition from the universe. Just relax and breathe. Just start with that.
Yeah.
And then I just realized all this thinking is just a waste of thought. And then Darrell went further and he said, it's more than a waste of thought. Because if it was as simple as that, when we're in judgment and condemnation of ourselves and others and all this stuff, if it was just a waste of thought and we could just sit in and like, all right, we're not getting the most out of life, that'd be one thing.
Yes.
But the loving universe makes it way more than that, because thought is creative.
Yeah.
And we start blocking the flow of our life, of our true self. We're either flowing with ourselves or resisting and blocking it. And that blockage leads to illness. That blockage leads to trouble in finances, relationships. But it's a really loving sign to get our attention, to change our course. And the thing I said, and then we wrote it down, which we wanted to tell you, is we're just as capable now as we were when we were kids.
To do the thing you desire to do.
Yeah, and we're even more capable right now because we don't rely on bigger versions of ourselves, like adults walking around. So this is the best time to wake up, to reawaken your joy, your intuition. I mean, this is the best time. I don't care what it is. And believe you, like we come here and we're ready for the show and we practice this stuff every day. But when we tell you we're practicing it, whatever you're going through,
we go through it too.
Otherwise it wouldn't be worth us even sitting here to pretend that we're not. We're all in this thing together. And so we are just as capable now as we were when we were kids, and even more capable. This is the perfect time to tap into your intuition, to tap into your joy, to tap into your health, to claim your divine inheritance.
Yes. This is why I got two things to read, and then we're going to have our guests come on that go with this. First of all,
put the breaths out there before.
Oh, the breaths will wind it up.
Yeah, we'll wind it up.
So one of the things is when our thoughts become painful, that's actually, and this is hard for even me to remember, it means it's time to change the direction of my thinking. That's why I'm emotionally feeling terrible, not to keep saying I feel terrible and then keep looking for reasons why I feel terrible that I'm making up that I didn't feel terrible about yesterday, and I know I'm going to forget about and not feel terrible about tomorrow.
Yeah.
So that's why not just do our best to change the way we are thinking in the moment, which will change the way we're feeling as best we can.
Yeah, because sometimes it is the devil's last ditch to like,
Yes.
right when it seems you're like, I'll start beating myself up. Man, I thought I was past this. What's the use? This old devil's voice will say, what's the use? If at that moment you can find it within yourself to read or meditate, let go just one more time, you'll find miraculous results at that very moment are just knocking on the door.
That's always the case. When I feel my worst and thinking everything's a waste, what's the use, is when I should be always reminding myself to jump for joy, saying, this is the devil's last ditch. This means I'm on the brink of some wonderful, better than expected opportunity or just a miracle or, a windfall of something coming unexpectedly into my life for my good. And and it's okay. That's not like, you're just lying to yourself to get through it.
That's right.
No, I'm not lying to myself. I'm telling myself the truth. And I know it's true because I've lived long enough now that I've gotten to the other side every time. And it's always the case.
That's right.
So to help us change our way we're thinking, like Ed was saying, goes right into this reading. And here's another way to look at forgiveness. Today, I say yes to forgiving. I commit to being forgiving love and forgiving compassion in all areas of my life. And that's from Sherry Rosenthal.
Tell everyone the trick about what she's doing with the word forgiving.
She's taking the word forgiving and turning it in. Instead of going, these people, this and that, she instead is going to be a person who is forgiving, meaning she is forgiving. I am going to be for, like when we're for our favorite team.
Like instead of resisting giving, I'm now forgiving. Yeah.
I'm going to be forgiving love and forgiving compassion in all areas of my life. And it goes on to say, I am grateful for the power of forgiveness. Truly forgiving someone is an act of self-care. Remember that.
Yes.
I have to tell myself that continuing to grumble about what my neighbors are doing or not doing or what someone else is doing or not doing or worse, the worst, if you want to see the practice of unforgiving taken to a professional level and used as a method to sell laundry soap, to sell lose weight systems, watch the news. The news is all about not forgiving others. It's promoting never forgive others. I don't care what side of the news.
That's so true.
Because now we have two-sided news, We don't care. I can't buy into either side because it's all about promoting, I ain't forgiven, but I can't do that.
Yeah, it's funny because it's like there's two groups of people on one boat.
Yeah.
Now, everyone's on one side and everyone's on the other, and the boat's sinking, and they're like, you're to blame. It's like, dude, guys, go to the middle.
And patch the hole.
Figure it out, patch the hole. You're all in this together.
So here we go. Truly forgiving someone is an act of self-care and unconditional love because it frees me from recalling painful emotions, memories, and experiences. Holding a grudge separates me from God's divine love and does not allow my inner light to shine. When I forgive, I experience God's mercy and compassion fully. Forgiving is the most prospering thing we can do. I'm saying this. I'm telling myself this. And my consciousness is cleansed when we forgive. I begin to see beyond appearances of what I think is right or wrong to the spiritual truth that God and I are one. And I could always tell myself, nothing happens by mistake, Darrell. Stop it. This is all in divine right order. And this little reading, before we go to the break, is a great one to help us because maybe some of you suffer from not being able to forgive yourself for something you did that you think is so reprehensible. And this is the best reading for that. And it's from Science of Mind. If you have the book, it's page 561. It's a great go-to if I'm ever feeling or have a bad memory of something I did 1,000 years ago, and I get the shivers thinking, oh, I should be punished for that, or whatever you're thinking. It's all garbage. And here's why. There is nothing we have done, said, or thought which rises up against us, which has power over us, or which limits us. There is no memory of fear, no condemnation for previous mistakes. With the desire to free ourselves from further indulgence in the mistake, the effect of the previous mistake is wiped out, just as light dissipates the darkness. The universe holds nothing against us. It can hold nothing against us because it can know nothing unlike itself. And it's love. Therefore, it only knows us as perfection. There has never been an occurrence for which we have to suffer.
Wow.
Consequently, every apparent shortcoming, which could be traced to some mental or spiritual infringement on the law, is not only removed, but the effect is healed. That means there is no history to our case.
Yeah, like Krista McAvina said, the case has been judge has left the bench, the case has been dismissed. I'm just going to read a quick little couple paragraphs from this. You Can Heal Your Life, Louise Hay. Once in a while, I pull this book off the shelf.
It's a good one.
And it's great. She says, for the next month, say over and over to yourself, I approve of myself. And you can say this about others too. I approve of Darrell. I approve of Ed. I approve of Bob. I approve of whoever. And she says, just let I approve of yourself become a walking mantra, something you just say over and over and over to yourself nonstop. When negative thoughts come up, such as how can I approve of myself or of that person, or it's silly to think this can do any good, or I am no good, whatever your negative babble will be, this is the time to take mental control. Give these thoughts no importance. Just see them for what they are, another way to keep yourself stuck in the past. Gently say to these thoughts, I let you go and I approve of myself and I approve of others. Let all these thoughts just pass through. These are only resistance thoughts. They have no power over you unless you choose to believe them. I approve of myself. I approve of myself. I approve of myself. I approve of everyone else, no matter what happens, no matter who says what to you, no matter who does what to you. Just keep it going. In fact, when you can say to yourself, when someone is doing something you don't approve of, when you can say this to yourself, you will know you are growing and changing.
Yeah.
Thoughts have no power over us unless we give in. Thoughts have no power over us unless we give in to them. Thoughts are only words strung together. They have no meaning whatsoever. Only we give meaning to them. Let us choose to think thoughts that nourish and support us.
And in other words, that goes right into our 3 breaths.
Yes, it does. Let's get on with that.
This is perfect. And then we're going to have our little break.
I actually just found this old Kirky card in here. I have grown weary listening to this nonsense.
That's a great portrait of you.
I know, and it goes perfect with what we're saying.
We're holding it up.
Oh,
on
wow,
YouTube.
look at that.
If you're listening on the podcast apps, if you tune into our YouTube channel, you'll actually see this great self-portrait of Edward.
Look at him standing on my neck, just like that Trump thing we saw. Life is a mirror to each one of us, and as we see the glory of God in this mirror, so shall this mirror reflect back to us that same glory.
All right, so people, we got a
3
breaths that'll help you approve of yourself and approve of everyone else, and it'll kick all unforgiveness off the rails.
Whoa.
You know what this is? Come on, you're a musician. Fix your mic.
Me. Let's take a deep breath. People all over the world, join hands. Start a love train. Love train.
I didn't know if that was your hand or Gabby's snout. People all over the world, join hands. What's it? Start a love train. Love train.
People all over the world, join hands. Start a love train. Love train. Yeah. All right. Coming up next, the magical Jillian Gotlib inspires us with today's reading. Say yes, for crying out loud. Thank you for listening to Funniest Thing with Darrell and Ed, live from middle school studios in beautiful downtown Culver City, the heart of Screenland.
All right, Jillian can what do you call it? Enter the building.
Enter the chat. Hello, Barbara Weatherman out there in Florida. Thank you for tuning into the YouTube. Anyone else out there? YouTube, we're so happy to see you. Jillian, we are so happy to see you. You look great as always.
Thank you. Yeah. Jillian has entered the building.
Yes. As soon as Darrell gets back.
Armed and dangerous.
Yes, as usual, which is why we love you. Darrell's just going to use the restroom. We're on break officially from the audio, but we are live with our YouTube, as you are usually typically one of the people watching, I believe, or at least sometimes. So
absolutely, when I can, I absolutely am.
We're so happy to have you on the other side of the camera today. This is great.
It's fun. Thank you. Thank you very much for having me here.
Yeah, it's funny because we didn't realize we had booked Janet Prince, and then today she was like, am I still on today? But she understood because we hadn't communicated in a very long time. But the other day we didn't have a guest, in my mind anyway, and you popped into my head as like, what about Jillian? And Darrell, anytime I get that feeling, or Darrell, it's usually like, that's the person. And then Darrell immediately goes, yes, and we knew you were the right person to be here this week.
I'm delighted. It's a pleasure. I mean, I'm a big fan of both of you. And the show has changed my life. I mean, it has been very instrumental for me.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And his classes, that intuitive method.
Yeah.
Was just a whole, I mean, I should probably save this so that people can hear about it.
Yeah, right. But we'll say it again when we get on the air officially. But that's great to hear. Lois Conklin is out there in Central Coast up there. Central California, excuse me, not Central Coast. She's on more inland, but she's watching on YouTube. So thank you, Lois, for joining us.
Special sound effects.
Yeah. Hold on a second. Let me tell everyone we love them out there. There we go. Yeah, it's good. It's good to be back after for me, that was the first week off I've taken in eons of not doing the show. So it was good to I miss it. I didn't realize I missed it. It's kind of like Don't Tell Darrell. It's a little bit like if I don't surf for a while.
Oh no.
Oh yeah.
I don't know I miss it until I do it again, and then I'm like, oh yeah, that's
surfing.
Did you take a class? Were you involved in a conference or just time off?
No, we just took a week off. Oh, Darrell was watching a Harry Potter play. It was his wife's. It was Lori's birthday, so that's why he took last week off. We're going to take another one off. What, July?
Wait a second. A Harry Potter, what did you do? Tell me.
Will you tell her why I use the rest of
Yeah, it's a Harry Potter new book. Instead of making it a movie, they made it a play. And it was it's still at the Pantages.
Really? Is it any good?
It's fantastic. It's so good.
Gotta write this down. Hold on a second.
And I'm very critical about plays.
Tell me about it. Tell me, what's it called?
It's Harry Potter, the Cursed Child. It's very positive. It's a great story. And set changes, because they're wizards. So set changes, they're actually doing real magic, like magician magic. They're not setting up going, we're going to do a magic trick now. They're doing magic as they're moving. And it was incredible. It was a fantastic, unexpectedly fantastic show. And I'm not as enthusiastic about theater as I used to be because I saw a few turkeys. I'm talking expensive plays. And I was just like, this is just not good. Yeah. And this one brought back my faith in
theater.
Yeah, in big production theater, because
is it kind of like the way Cirque du Soleil does these very magical?
I've never seen Cirque du Soleil, but this is incredible. I mean, you don't know how they do some of the stuff, and I don't even want to give anything away to ruin anyone who may not have seen it yet, because it's worth the price of admission.
I'm putting that on my wish list.
Yes.
All right. On that note,
we're coming back.
Yeah.
And we're recording.
Yep. All right, welcome back. Funniest thing with Darrell and Ed. Today's show is called Immunity from Trouble with Jillian Gotlib. Jillian, are we saying your last name right?
It's Gotlib.
I thought so, because there's no E that
No, but it is it's interesting. I found out what it meant, as I grew up.
Yeah.
And I had the opportunity to be in the elevator with Maharishi Mahesh Yogi once. And as we were traveling upstairs.
Is that the Beatles guy?
Yeah.
Nice.
I studied with him. I became a teacher of transcendental meditation many decades ago when I was early, like 2021. And I went through the training, and it was his last in-person training that he did. So it was really fun because we didn't know that at the time, but they were recording it, and then later generations of teachers learned from those tapes. But I had the privilege of having opportunities to really talk to him. Anyway, so one day we were, as it happened, he invited me to join the entourage, and we were going up in the elevator, and he asked me what my name was, and I said Jillian Gotlib. And he went, "So very nice. What does it mean? And what does it mean?" And I was, Got is God, and Ib is love. So it was love of God. He goes, "Oh, very good name, very good name, very good name."
Wow, that's
That is
cool.
a good name.
It is true. Yeah. So I've enjoyed having that as a name. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. It's perfect for today's show. It's perfect for funniest thing in general. Well, I don't know if everyone knows this, but you are down the street from Darrell. You're one of Darrell's neighbors, so that makes it feel even more amazing that we're all together.
One of his fans, and to find out who he is and what you all have done has really changed my life. It has been fantastic to have that kind of continuity in the neighborhood of people who care about what's deeper and profound. And of course, I'm a fan of Gidget from the get-go.
Yeah.
But also his classes.
Oh, yes, that's what I was going to tell you.
The intuitive method was a total recovery or wake up of the creativity of my painting, which I haven't done I was an artist when I was very little and continued up into college and then shifted into music. I was doing music since I was a teenager also, but I sort of had pushed the art part to the side, and it fulfilled and was fulfilling other, artistic pursuits. But this last year and a half, the intuitive method came at a time when I was just recuperating from surgery and it was fantastic because it gave me something to be productive, to learn something new, which is one of my favorite things, and to have things to share with people. And I just have to say kudos. That was an amazing class.
Yeah.
Well worth doing. And now I even take the paints with me that he introduced to me. I take them to adventures, like to visiting the Descanso Gardens and drawing and interacting.
Could you show our YouTube people one of the drawings that you've done recently? Would you mind?
Sure. No.
Anyone who's listening on the podcast app could go to
you
Funniest Thing with Darrell and Ed on YouTube. You can see the
And
art.
you can even tell the story about the little boy, because that's
Oh,
how
yeah.
the vibration when we're creating. It's such a good feeling thing. What happened?
So this is my magician emoji, sort of like a little bunny, a rabbit. But he's a detective, so it's D.I. Bunny Fluff. And it says in Italian, "Non ci credo neanche se lo vedo," which means I can't believe my eyes. And this is the magnifying glass, money, the keys to the code. These are poker chips. And that's one. Oh, let me show you the drawing that I was. So when I went out to the gardens recently, and
this is for our listeners. If you're not in Los Angeles, this is in Los Angeles. What's the name of the gardens?
Descanso, Descanso, Descanso Gardens. It was a private residence or a private property that was turned into gardens, and it's unbelievable. Every season they have new plantings. I was there. Let me show you one other one. Hold on a second. Last month was tulip season, and the place was
wow.
completely, this whole area of tulips. It It was just phenomenal to be there. It felt like I was in Holland. So that was the tulips. And this year, this month, it's irises and rose gardens. And I was sitting next to a little brook, this little literally a little babbling brook that had a waterfall in it. And this family came over, these two women, a little baby in arms, and then this 4-year-old. And the little 4-year-old was, like starting to walk on the rocks and wanting to explore the water. And his mom was going, now be careful, be careful. And I was like, of course he's exploring the rocks and the water. What else? It's so fun. And he instantly came over to see what I was doing. He looked over, he like glued himself to my shoulder and looked over into what I was drawing. And he was fascinating. And little by little, we started to talk. And I said, would you like to draw something? So he did. He absolutely did. And and the thing is, these are so easy. I could go on for a long time. I'm a fan.
But that's the whole point of it.
Yeah. And it was really fun. And it was like, there's a page, there was something about interruptions that I read recently in the Alan Cohen book, which I would like to reference because it really spoke to me. This book, The Gift of Life by Alan Cohen. Okay.
Yeah, we always recommend that, especially if you're new and you do morning routines and stuff. We still read it, but my wife reads it. I gave it to my brother. It's just a very practical, inspiring read.
It's like, it says, blessed interruptions. Life is what happens while you're making other plans. That's a quote from John Lennon. But it went on to say, I used to get annoyed when someone pulled me off my track, a friend told me. But then I discovered that the best parts of my day are the interruptions. Thank God when you are interrupted from your plan. If something comes up that is unavoidable, ask to find the gift in it. Consider the possibilities that this person or event has been sent to serve and bless you in some way. I just love that because here I was drawing and I could have said, oh no, I'm busy. I don't want to talk to somebody. And, I'm only halfway done with my drawing.
Yeah.
Like the kid came up and it was like, okay, the drawing goes to the side. And he was inquiring and starting to go through my pouch, that I had my paints in. And his mother's like, oh, no, don't you're not allowed to do that. And I said, well, you can ask and just say, may I please look? And I said, would you like a piece of paper of your own? And he was like, yeah. And anyway, it was really out of that whole day. And it was a fabulous day. And we were there with other adults who I knew. And we went out to dinner afterwards. But that moment just was so sweet and so touched my heart.
Yeah.
It just like, and then when it was like, well, let's take a picture of your drawing. So we took a picture and see if I can pull this up here 1 second. His mom took a photo of us and I thought, oh, we'll take a picture of what he drew. Because he flipped it over and then drew me on the other side. We did something together, which I don't have a picture of, unfortunately, but I do have a picture of him and me together. Let's see if this will show up.
And, this goes along, these interruptions. Oh, wow. This goes along with the topic.
That's so sweet. Yes.
It was so nice.
Yeah. Because and
the thing is, I have like the kids of the neighborhood are kind of like my little kid family.
Yes.
And they fulfill that because whatever my path in life was not to have children. But I have been an Auntie Jill to many, many people.
Yes. Yeah, you have a lot of children. Mm-hmm. But the thing I get the most is the blessed interruptions it coincides with forgiveness, because forgiveness is a surrender to what is without holding on to what I want or what I don't want. And look what happens. That moment is the best moment. Moments like that are my best moments. And they always come, like the reading, as blessed interruptions. But I have to be willing to forgive, be forgiving love.
I love it.
Instead of holding myself, no, I'm going to be doing this. I'm sorry, I'm busy. I easily get into that. I fall into... I get on board with a mission, whatever it is in my brain, and it's like, no, I got to do this. But I should know better by now, because your example, that's what life's all about. I want to live more like that and less rigid. Every day I strive to be more
Oh yeah.
open to these detours that take me to better places that seem as inconvenience or an interruption.
Well, it's interesting too. It's like even to the point where his mom was saying, "Don't be careful on the rocks," you know,
Yeah.
because they're big boulders. But the water was only what, a foot deep, maybe at the most,
Right.
8 inches. But the little boy was like really checking out the water, and he was like, "I want to put my foot in it," you know.
Yes.
And his shoes were on, and I went, "Yeah, why not? I mean, what's it gonna do? It's not gonna hurt him." And she kind of was relaxed. She took a breath and went, "Yeah, you're right." So he put his foot in, and he walked over, and then he was like, "Oh, now my foot's cold. It's wet." Takes his foot off. He says, "I want the sock off." I had a little paper towel in my pocket folded up. I said, "Why don't you put this in the shoe and dry it out a little?" So we had this whole experience.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway,
you know, the intuition and staying connected in the detours is about maintaining a loving interest in life as an interesting, creative act all the time. And so because what I noticed for me is I've started writing a new record of music, and I've been following, using the intuitive method, because the intuitive method has encapsulated perfectly the way I already create. It's just building my confidence and trusting that. And since I went from like thinking, I haven't written in music in so long, how's that ever going to happen again? To now I've written 7 songs that I love, and my songwriting is evolving now. Now it's not going back to songwriting. It's growing in a new way. And
all those years didn't mean, I don't know how to do it. All those years you were accumulating.
Oh yeah, 100%
for this. It's not now I got to go back to the way it was and start from there. No, all that contributed. You were writing songs this whole time subconsciously.
100%. Yeah, and the loving interest includes the detours.
Yes,
especially because what I realized just hearing you talk is, what'll happen to me is this music for me and creativity, it becomes like a superpower. It gets so filled with, with divine flow. But what happens is it happens through receptivity to the divine. It comes through, right? But then these old voices go, "Oh, it's me that's doing this." And then
that's the worst.
Instead of it's me that recognize this and receive this, so I have to go back to letting go again and recognizing, because this is how it's sustainable, by realizing I fill up, I create, and I just let go. I don't have to define myself by it. I don't have to you know what I'm saying? I am way more and bigger. I don't have to become someone by doing something musically. I already am someone, and I'm letting this music flow through me. And that is the life changer for me, because I used to get so burnt out and I didn't want to do it anymore. But now doing it this intuitive method and with these principles, it becomes so much more sustainable.
I love that. That's great. Would you like me to respond to that or to read the reading?
Well, why don't you say what you're thinking, and then we'll go to the reading, and
we'll go to the reading after.
Okay, so do you think there's more certainty or uncertainty in life?
Man, I think both.
I was going to say I'm more certain that I'm more open to the uncertainty of life, where before I was certainly more apprehensive about life being uncertain.
And I'm certain that it's good. I'm just uncertain about what it's going to look like or how it's going to unfold.
That's my new life. Is that way of looking at it.
And they both exist. There's so much certainty, but people, like you were saying about the news, they promote the uncertainty. Like this. But if you listen to any length of time, or you just look at the life, night follows day, follows night, follows day, follows night. Go in, the surf goes out, the surf comes in. Every few minutes, it's ongoing. It's and it's always a new wave. It's always changing. And then also this, like an apple tree doesn't suddenly have puppies. An apple tree gives apples. Maybe they hybrid something, but it's still a fruit tree. So when you start to look at the miracles of life, you start to realize how certain there's a lot of continuity and a lot of certainty. But there's a special word, which is How often are things changing? Tell me that. How often do things change?
Constantly.
Yes, that's a great word. Because I was thinking always, but I like constantly. It's constantly changing. And I want to demonstrate something. Okay, so the constant changing is essentially like when you go to a theater and you go see a movie, what is there up on this, before the movie starts, what is set up behind the screen, behind the curtains? A screen.
Yes.
The screen is there the whole time. But the minute the film is projected on it, we lose track of the screen. We can't see the screen anymore.
That's right.
Right.
Okay? But it's constantly there. And it's like there is God who is constantly underneath all of this. It's an absolute energy that is maintaining all of this.
Yes.
And it's there for us to tap into. It's not far away. It's in everything.
Yes.
Okay, so I have a deck of cards. Okay.
Yes.
Let me do this so you can see. I don't know if you can see, okay?
Yep. Jillian shuffling the deck or showing us it's a real ordinary deck of cards. I'm just letting the listeners know.
Okay, so you've got a deck of cards, and so you the Jack of Hearts on the front. Now there's a funny thing is in the oddest moment, if you forget, because cards are made up of many parts, they have different layers of paper. And in the very beginning, this is what they all look like.
Blanks.
On
both sides.
However, let's say you think of an idea, something creative, and you come up with an idea. One idea. I'm showing like a card that has a face on it, like a 2 of clubs.
Yes.
And then suddenly
they're all there.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So it's not far away. It's integrated. The absolute is integrated into our life. We just have to tap in. And
wow. Yes.
You know what, Jillian? I got to tell the folks, Jillian did a magic show here in her backyard.
Yes.
She just didn't hold back. She said, I'm going to do it. And she did it and invited neighbors and friends. And our good friend Steve was part of the show as an assistant and a character. I don't want to give too much away, but
again, because that show is that show.
Yeah. But here's the thing, Jillian, I just get so excited for you to continue to do the magic with the spiritual teachings like this.
Mm-hmm.
It would be such it is an incredible show. You just did that is incredible for me because it adds so much more, because then the magic is not just the magic, which is awe-inspiring, but now it's
not just a puzzle. It's not just a puzzle.
Yeah, it drives home magical spiritual truths.
Yes.
And I don't forget them because of the magic trick.
Yeah, it tickles us the way God tickles us when God shows us things, which is amazing.
So I'm excited for you to continue with
Thank you.
That's a great, because she did the same thing.
This is so crazy.
In her other show. It was teaching, touching on spiritual principles through, and then through the entertaining with the magic.
What's crazy is before we went on and I was getting the YouTube part ready for the show, there was a video from a guy, a comedian, and I don't think he means the same thing we mean, but it said religion is just like magic. That was the name of a video I saw this morning, a thumbnail. I don't think his message would have been the same if I didn't press play, but the fact that I just read that and now we're talking about this, it's amazing.
But religion is just like magic.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, the first people who were practicing demonstrating the power in Jesus's teachings, that type of teaching.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't unique just to Jesus. It was around, but Jesus actually put it all in one particular message so it would sustain the test of time. They were called magi.
That's right.
The magi, which is the root for magician, because our attitude, our mental approach to life is our wand. Life
Yeah.
is really magic.
It's
and
probably in the middle of imagination. The
Yes.
imagination is probably also
I
really
love that.
the same thing.
Yeah.
And there's a technique, you know, of how to reach that I was taught
Yes.
many years ago. And it's like a walking mantra, aside from the sit down meditation mantras and practices, but it's something that I can easily explain right now. And it's
Let's hear it.
acceptable.
Yeah.
So, and you do it with your breaths. I mean, you take a deep breath and then you say, I now command the thoughts in my mind to drop into my heart. And you count down like an elevator, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then you repeat it and say, and to simplify it, you can just say, once you realize what you're doing, deep breath, and then you go mind, drop to heart. Again, mind, drop to heart. And then with your index finger, touch your nose 3 times. Make me real, make me real, make me real.
Make me real, make me real, make me real.
And I don't know about you, but it just fills me with that.
It just did.
Effervescence again.
It was magical.
That's amazing. I'm writing this down.
That is the best prayer. Thank you so much.
It is solid. I'm telling you, remember there was a time when I had a confrontation, unexpected confrontation.
Oh, yes. Me too. I go through them too. And I use your methods. Yes.
I suddenly was like, had this the hardest part is to stay a witness and aware so that you can remember to think.
Yes.
Command your spirit to be in charge.
Yes.
And watching this person basically trying to pick a fight, which I was not responding to. But at first I was answering their questions because they sort of came on like, how is it you think such and such? And I thought it was a genuine question. And later I realized, no, it's picking a fight to get the energy to engage. And so I just stopped and I went, come back to my heart, mind drop to heart. And then I just sent out a feeling of love to the person, like they need to feel love.
Yes.
And you know what? It dissipated.
Yeah.
I felt hard afterwards. I had to like cancel, clear, get out of here. All these, rough things that had been thrown at me.
Yes.
But that person now cheerfully says hello to me all the time.
I know.
I was just thinking religion means to bind. And you said in the beginning that screen is always there, God binding us together. And what you did is refused to fall into this dream of separation and stayed connected with this person in spite of themselves, in spite of what their mind was doing. That is something that's so valuable in this world. And I wanted to tell you that Lois Conklin on YouTube just says, does Jillian have a website or a Facebook book? I'm loving hearing her so much. Is there any way Lois can stay in touch with you?
I don't have that yet. No.
All right, Lois, you're going to have to stay in touch with Darrell and Ed, and we'll have Jillian on again.
Yes,
and,
we're definitely going to have Jillian.
If you ever want to.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Yeah, maybe off the show, if she wants to communicate with you, we can arrange a communication. Yeah. Reach out, Lois, and we will be glad to connect you too. But all right, so let's get to the reading now. Man, Jillian, mind-blowing. Thank you so much.
Best.
I wrote down your process here, and I love that because this has been dawning on me this week.
It's so good.
I do have a card that I...
Oh, let's hear that, yeah.
That's what I did. I put this
That's the card.
Oh, you have a card.
We got to get Ed one.
Yeah, we got to get...
I give it to you today. It says, mind drop to heart, whisper or say out. It's important to say it out loud. Because if you're thinking and you just say it mentally, you're still up here.
I know.
Right.
You have to activate and command, even if it's in a whisper, if it's not in an appropriate, setting to say it out loud, but to say, Spirit, I now command you to take the thoughts of my mind. Anyway, that's all explained here. And I go on to say, I'm 100% responsible for my life. Then I do a second layer, which is body. I now command you to receive this healing energy.
Yes.
And wrap it all around me and tie it with a bow. So, before I used to go to work, I used to do that, and it makes a difference. If you forget to do it, you're exposed to all these other people's energies.
Wow. This is a direct answer to something I was pondering in the last couple of days. So thank you so much. It's amazing how this stuff works.
All right,
so we're going to walk Gidget over to your house after the show.
Yeah. So let's get into the reading and we'll wrap up the show.
Here's our beautiful reading. I love this reading. It says, I give freely and fully of my efforts. I say yes to opportunities to serve and grow. And I wanted to stop here for a second, because it's yes to opportunities, but not any opportunity. It's an opportunity to serve and grow. Yeah. Because when I was younger, sometimes I would just say yes, yes, yes. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't discerning. There's some situations that you have to run away from or say no to.
Yeah.
I always think that about the saying yes thing. It's there that you have to use discernment. Because there's people who take advantage of, because in certain places where they tell you. Yeah. So I love that. So anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, very important, because I have been taken advantage of, and it's uncomfortable later. And you think, okay, through your attitude and your efforts this day, you are saying yes or no to new opportunities. And again, I'm going to say opportunities like you have in here to serve and grow.
Yes.
And there's another thing, which I'd like to do a sidebar here. I was taught early on, what is your purpose of life? And it was very simply put to me, to build you, to build others, and to harm no one.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
Beautiful.
To build you,
build others, and harm no one.
No one.
Now, it's hard to know if you're harming someone, because there's ripple effects of what you're doing. So it's really unfathomable. But at least that's the goal.
Yes.
Although I do think when we are in that loving space, that's the best way to know.
Yeah. And also the thing about forgiveness is, who do you start? How do you practice forgiveness? All these people who bump into our lives and cause us to be frustrated, irritated, or attacked, or uncomfortable, have a different point of view. It's not just forgiving them, but it's like to start here and forgive ourselves from past or mistakes or misunderstandings, and just forgive here. And then you can go on. And plus, without these people interrupting us, we have nowhere to practice this.
Yeah.
Yes.
You have to, on your own, you're embodying the philosophies of life that you want. But to be interrupted, you have to then come back out into the absolute. So maybe you're sinking into the transcendent world and you're in nirvana, but if you're not interrupted, it's like they used to say in India, that the way that you make a beautiful silk color fast, you take a big vat of golden yellow dye, and you take the white silk and you dip it in, and then it has soaked up all the yellow, and you bring it out, and it's beautiful bright yellow. And then you set it out in the brightest daytime sun, and all those pieces of silk dry out until they look brand white again. And then you dip it again into the vat of yellow dye, and when it's soaked up, you take it back out. Well, that's dipping into the absolute, dipping into the God consciousness, coming back into the daily, flavor of life.
Yes.
And letting it dry out. And then you dip back in.
Yeah.
And that's why the morning practice is so essential, because it's every day you have to put another layer of a molecule of the color back into our soul until they're both interacted, like that deck of cards where they're there together at the same time.
Yes.
Woven together, and you can be in the midst of the fullest activity and still have that consciousness, which, it's hard to maintain it, but that is the goal, is that you're never lost.
Yeah,
that's right.
We're never lost.
That's right.
We're lost. All right. Continuing on here. Let's see here.
Okay.
When we let down in our efforts, become indifferent, bored, or cast down, we're saying no. I think I missed a little part. Okay. To give freely, fully, and wholeheartedly of our efforts and enthusiasm is to say yes to success and achievement. When we let down in our efforts, become indifferent, bored, or cast down, we're saying no. People who achieve real and lasting success give freely of themselves toward any given opportunity. Caveats like from before. Lose yourself in the expression of the qualities and abilities God has placed within you, and each person has their own role in life. They have their own journey. Enjoy and participate in the opportunities that come your way for service. I love that. That is like the heart of us. I worked for 14 years in a hospitality environment in a huge resort. And the president used to say she has a heart of a servant. And in the very beginning, I was like, what is she talking about? Then I realized it's like to serve.
Yes.
To give and to create extraordinary experiences for the people around you. Thus, your horizons broaden and new doors of achievement, expression, and success are opened. As each has received a gift, employ it in serving one another as good managers of the grace of God in its various forms. That's from Peter 4:10.
That's great.
Wow.
All right.
And it also inspired me to think of one more little sidebar.
Oh, I'd love to hear it.
Is that if this is a movie that we're all experiencing, then the cast of characters were cast. Well, when the movie's over, is that actor who played the villain really a villain?
I love that. I love looking at life like that. Thank you. Yeah, it helps me disengage. You know what's funny?
That's amazing.
To help me with this lately, because I've been reading.
That's forgiveness.
The Shakespeare, all the world's a stage.
Yeah.
And every man and woman is simply an actor. And I started thinking, I'm going to get back into showbiz, meaning I'm going to get back into realizing that I choose the role of the character I'm playing in every little movie scene in my day.
Yeah.
But we forget that. We get lazy and then we just think we're us and we're plowing through the day and I got things to do. But when I keep bringing my back, no, I'm in showbiz. It's showtime. Okay, this is my character for today. In this scene, okay, my character has got to go to Trader Joe's, and navigate through Trader Joe's. And now, oh, look, he's confronted with a problem because, the audience loves when there's a problem. And now, oh my God, it's crowded. What's he gonna do? Is he gonna blow his stack? What's he gonna do? But it's so much of a more delightful, and I'll even say it's the healthier way to go through my day.
Yeah, and also, what's your purpose? It's like the people.
Yes, true. That's a very acting thing to think about.
Yeah, what's my purpose? Well, my real purpose is to be the loving,
ambassador of God.
The ambassador of God's love, the magical ambassador at Trader Joe's. But is he going to forget that? Because look, someone stole his space and giggled and sneered at him.
Right, exactly.
Or are you going to create smiles? How many?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
This has been a great show, Jillian.
Wow.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your asking me on here. It was
oh my God.
Well, we have a story.
Better than expected.
Oh.
The expectation was already good.
We had a story about you during your traveling. Ed found this. I think Condé Nast Travel Magazine.
Recently, Darrell and Ed were talking with Jillian about about her journey into magic. We asked Jillian if there were any great magic tricks that she had witnessed that inspired her to become a magician herself, and Jillian responded.
When I was a little girl, I was on vacation with my family in Mexico. I saw a Mexican street magician performing for the tourists. He spoke good English, mostly because his crowd was American. Towards the end of his routine, he announced that at the count of 3, he would vanish. He loudly counted, 1, 2, then poof, he disappeared without a trace.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I love it.
And thank you and everyone else for being a part of Funniest Thing with Darrell and Ed. Please subscribe and share the show with your friends. And I think the next stop we make will be England. Tell all the folks in Russia
and China
too. Don't you know that it's time to get on board and let this train keep on riding on through.
People all over the world,
Join hands, start a love train, People all over the world, join hands, start a love train, Woo-hoo-hoo! We did it.
Jillian, that was fantastic.
Amazing.
Bravo. Thank you.
The healing, the love, the joy, the magic.
And now we're going to come visit you with Gidget.
See you next time, everyone.
Yeah, we'll be right
Darrell and
over.
Ed and Jillian and Gidget, love you.